Good day, viewers. We want to look at some tricks in function. Looking at my screen, we have four questions that we are meant to simplify two and solve two of the questions. And looking at these questions, you are meant to find the inverse to answer the questions. No, you are not supposed to find the inverse. All the four questions do not need inverse, but most students want to find the inverse. The first question mark is this is 1 mark. The second question is also 1 mark. The third question is 1 mark, and the last question is 2 marks. All these questions does not require finding inverse. Let's start with the first one. I have a function, the composite function of a function, and its inverse. This gives x. Whatever you have as a domain is the answer. A good example is also if I have a function, a composite function, and its inverse, if the domain is 2, the answer to this question is 2. Please take note of this. Whatever the domain is the answer to the expression. So let's look at the second one. The second one we have also a composite function of its inverse and the function. This also gives us the domain of the composite function. If I have inverse of f and f, the composite function of this, let's put in a number this time. Let's say this, if this is 5, the domain is 5. This will be 5. Take note of this is always 1 mark in exam. You don't need to find the inverse. I repeat, you don't need to find the inverse before you answer the question. Now let's go for the last. The third one is an equation. You have inverse of a function equal to a number. Now, in this situation, you need the knowledge of the domain and the range. The x in the equation of this function is the domain, while the 2 is the range. Now, the knowledge I'm going to use there is a little bit, I won't say complex, but you always see it in ADMAT or further mathematics. The domain of a function is the range of its inverse, and the range of a function is also the domain of its inverse. Looking at this question, x is the domain of this inverse. That f(x) becomes the range of the function, and the 2 becomes the domain of the function. That's what I'm going to write. It's simple. What you just need to do, find f of 2, which is x. The 2 you're seeing inside here now is the domain, and before, from the question, it was the range, is now the domain. So I'll just do f of 2, put 2 as x value in the function. The function is 4 to the power of x, get rid of x and substitute 2. That's the meaning. X is 16. X is equal to 16. Simple. This is also 1 mark in exam. You don't need to stress yourself finding the inverse. Let's look at the last one. The last one, I'm also using the knowledge of the domain of a function is the range of its inverse, and the range of a function is also the domain of its inverse. Here I have this. I'm told to find x. I don't need to find the inverse and substitute x into it. No, I don't need that. What I need to do, like what I did the other time, I'll write f of something equal something. Now the x becomes the domain now, while 16 becomes the range. So I just need to do f of x is equal, since I know f of x is 4 to the power of x, and 16 is also the same thing. I don't need to jump a step. F of x, 4 to the power of x is equal to 16. 4 to the power x equal 4 power 2. Cancel the two bases. X is equal to 2. I believe with these explanations, you should be able to know that some questions, you don't need to find the inverse. Thank you.